Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to teach you how to make one of these token boxes for either round or hexagonal token boxes. Um, so that's confusing. This is a hexagonal box, but I have round tokens in here, and I like keeping it hexagonal, first of all, because it's easier to construct, and second of all, that way it doesn't roll around your table or inside of your box or anything like that. So this is a token box that looks like this. And in this particular design, I'm going to be using the one that I made for Noctiluca to show you how it's created. But you might be watching this video for a different game or whatever, thing like that. So I'm going to be using this artwork, but if I have linked you to this video, it's because it uses the same template. So don't be weirded out by the different artwork. But also, having said that, I just want to say that in the description of this video, there is a link to my do-it-yourself boxes webpage, where if you're interested in printing this off for Noctiluca, or if you're interested in any other designs that I've got, go ahead and click on that link and you can browse, and that's where you can find the template and all of that stuff. So, with that said, what you're going to need to do is, for whichever design you're going for, you're going to print it off on cardstock and with a colored printer, and you're going to get something that looks like this. Now, it almost looks like there's a misprint here. We have a rectangle, and the hexagons go out a little bit past that. That's not a misprint. Our first step when we create this box is we're going to need to cut on the rectangle, and yes, that means we're going to be cutting off a part of the hexagon, and that is okay. So I have a paper cutter. I'm going to be cutting around the outside of this paper here. We're going to need some scissors and some glue. And you probably also want some tape. I have two different kinds of tape. This is invisible tape, which is not so invisible. It's a little bit like it's invisible on white paper, but not on anything else. And then this is transparent tape that is super see-through. And I'm going to end up using a little bit of both, but you could probably get away with just using glue or whatever. I'm just a little crazy. So first things first, there is a tripod right here. I'm going to go ahead off camera and I'm just going to cut on the outside of this rectangle. If you need to get stuff set up and ready to go, this is the time to pause the video and go do that. But yes, let me go ahead and cut around the outside of this and then I will be right back. Alright, we are back, and as you can see, I just went ahead and cut out the outside. Next thing is we have these 6 weird shapes with X's in them. We need to cut those out. So I usually try to put dotted lines here, but I figured this was super obvious, and the dotted lines looked a little bit ugly in the finished product, so I made them solid-y. But what we're going to do is just cut out these weirdo shapes like this. Okay, so there's one of them. Here's another one. As we're talking, why don't I go ahead and say some words about myself. Hello, my name is Tom. Hi, Tom. And I like to make these boxes. Like I said, there's that webpage if you want to browse other designs. I really like organizing and I like creating and stuff like that. But what I was going to say is all of my designs, as of now, everything that I'm doing in Microsoft Word. And these designs that I'm making are pretty complicated sometimes, and using Microsoft Word is pretty limiting and a little glitchy at times. And so there are things in this particular design that I wish I could have done a little bit better or differently, but I was doing the best that I could with my skill set and my resources. And I'm going to point those things out. It's going to be the next step as soon as I finish getting these things cut out. But there's definitely a weird thing that in this printout I wish I could have done a little bit better. Maybe I will one of these days. Maybe when you're watching this video I have addressed the issue I'm going to talk about, but maybe I haven't. Who knows? But anyway, yes, this box, like I said, it's designed to either hold round tokens or maybe hexagonal tokens. Specifically, this one for Noctiluca, round point tokens. And the reason why I made this instead of just using the bag is in that game, when you set up, you have to like store these round tokens from, they have different values on them, and you want to go from greatest at the top down to least. Anyway, moral of the story is, I was storing them in a bag, and I hated sorting those tokens when they got out of order. It made me frustrated, so I stopped doing it. Okay, next thing, here's what I was kind of referring to before. I know that this design is really dark, But essentially we have a hexagon here and a hexagon here flanked by two triangles. And that's the same on all of these. I'm going to call these the teeth. We basically need to slice in between the hexagon and the triangle. We need to kind of cut out that tooth. Well, we're not cutting it off, but we just need to do a slice like that. And we need to do that for all 8 triangles. So I'm just going to go ahead and slice it here. I really tried to put some space there. And on the PDF, I think it kind of does look like there is a white line so that you could see. But it definitely didn't show up when I printed this. Oh, and do you know what? There's another idea. I almost always say cut and then fold. And in fact, now that I'm recording this, I got in that habit. But with this particular design, I actually think it's easier to fold and then cut. So I want to fold on this line right here. So you can see I've already done goof because I started cutting first. But why don't I go ahead and repair this, and I'm going to even just keep it in this video and publish it so that we all know that sometimes I make mistakes. But this is an okay way to do this. It's just 6 individual folds, and I would like those folds to be as precise as possible. And if you, in this particular design, if you cut and then fold, it's like things are just a little bit off. So there we go. Okay, so now to make up for my errors, I'm just going to take this whole thing and fold it down, looking at my cut marks to try to make sure, because the printing isn't as nice. It's so dark. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that fold, and then we'll do this one. Again, I'm mostly just using the cuts that we've already made to make sure that those folds are good. Okay, so now with those folds, let's cut the other teeth. So, got this. I think there's a fly buzzing right on my earlobe, and I don't enjoy that. Okay. We've got this here. We've got this here. Now, in the design for the body of this box, normally I have actual folding lines. But I wanted this to look nice and smooth. I didn't want to have a whole bunch of lines all throughout this box, so I just kind of have the artwork wrapped around. But our next folds are going to be all along the body, and it's pretty much anywhere you see our cuts, we're going to go ahead and make some folds. So I think that's going to be 8, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 folds, not 8. So I'm just going to start here on one side, and I'm going to pull it down until I see just a little bit of that line printing, and specifically I'm just using the edges of those teeth to make sure that that looks good. Next, we'll just keep pulling. I usually just kind of sit here and I pull with my right hand and then crease with my left hand. I use my thumb. Sometimes I use the butt of the scissors, but where I'm just standing here, we're just going to go ahead and keep pulling and creasing. Sometimes it gets to a point, as you're doing this, that it's just easier to flip over and start on the other side, so I'll do that. Like that. And like this. And then I think we've got all of those folds now. Yes, okay. Now, the next folds are a little bit awkward, and you kind of have to trust me a little bit. At the top of the teeth, you can see we're going from corner to corner on the hexagons. I want to fold down, so I'm folding this close, like the hexagon touching the body of the thing. I'm going to fold that thing in half. So right at the top of the teeth, we're just going to take that and fold it in half, and that should be going corner to corner of your hexagon. I'm kind of doing a terrible job with this one. And you'll know you're doing it right. Don't focus so much on the artwork, because the artwork of the hexagon, you see that, like there's some of this dark part before this light part. I was mostly focusing on corner to corner here, and the line between the two hexagons is at the base of those triangles. So let's go ahead and just make those folds all at the same time. Like this. And then one more. Like, oh, gotta get that one a little bit better. Like that. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to keep these things folded like that, but we're going to fold on this line this way. So I'm not opening it up and refolding. You could if you wanted to, but for me, I think it's just easier to just go ahead and just take that whole hexagon and just flip it upwards like that. Okay, that'll go down on the table. And we'll just go one at a time. We're just folding where the two different hexagons meet upwards like this. Okay, so this is what it looks like on one side. On the other side, it looks like this. Now, a couple of more things that we're going to do before we get too crazy. This lip here is just to make the crease nice on the opening. I don't want that to be too loose. I don't want it to just be a single paper like paper cutty. I wanted it to be smooth. So you could either use glue or tape for this. I like tape for this a little bit better. It just feels like it holds it down better. So this tape is best on solid white paper. So I'm going to just go ahead and use some of that, and I'm going to tape this thing down. And it's best to do this at this step. This is traditionally, this kind of a taping thing is one of the last steps that I do, but I'm just going to go ahead and run that piece of tape all the way along that way. Looks like maybe I folded it a little too much, but I'm not overly worried about it. But I am worried about that tape kind of hanging out. Hold on. I'm just going to... You're watching me do this in real time, real action here, folks. Sure, why not? It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I'll be more careful on this side. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and getting that nice and smooth all the way over like that. Okay, so now that that's taped down, what we need to do now is a weird step with these hexagons, but it's super important. So do you see how right now our hexagons are folded in a way that there's an opening right here? What you're going to do is you're basically going to take that hexagon, push on this side, and flip it over like that. So here, you don't see a crease in the middle, and it's open on that side. After we push it, there's a crease in the middle, and no opening here. So we need to do that for all 4 hexagons. Like that. Okay? Oh, and in fact, yes. Should we do it? Yes, we need to do a thing first. Let's open up these wings here. The ones... Alright, so we have a full colored hexagon, not that one. We need the one where we have like 2 trapezoids right here. Okay, so let's look at those. And I should have practiced the order that I'm doing this. Okay, so we've got those creases, which is great. What we're going to do is I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm just going to throw some glue on these off-colored trapezoids like this. Try your best to stay within, like, don't go past that crease. You want to just stay on the trapezoids as much as possible. Go ahead and put some glue, and you're just going to pinch those together. Okay, we want that to be nice and... Oh, not that one. Oh my gosh. I almost just gave myself a heart attack. Get those nice and sealed and hidden. Okay, sorry. Should have addressed that before. So going back to our hexagons, I don't want the opening showing. I need to flip it like that. Flip it. Flip it. Okay, now here's why you need to flip it so that you have crease side up. What we're going to do is I'm going to throw some glue on all 4 of these hexagons. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that glue. One nice thing about glue sticks is even if they kind of start to dry during this process, is sometimes that makes it a little stickier and easier to use as we're going through. But basically, I'm just going to put some glue on all 4 of these hexagons. It's just easier to do it on all 4 and to get the whole thing folded together in one step. All right, done with the glue. Now here's how this is going to work. Basically, these teeth are going to wrap up into this hexagon here. Maybe it's easier on this fold in the middle to just fold that backwards for a second. Basically, these teeth are going to go in front of the glue, and then we're going to take the other part that's glued right here and wrap it on the other side. So the teeth are going to be surrounded by this hexagon with glue on it. So let me kind of show you what I mean. I'm going to wrap these teeth upwards so that they match along that crease. And then I'm going to take that hexagon and push it down in. And now those teeth are glued on both sides. And I just pinch pressure just like that. And in this example, remember, we didn't put glue on here. That's going to be kind of loose looking, but it's still attached. That's okay. That's in the design. I'll show you why I did that in a minute. Then I'm going to turn it over. Same thing. Push the teeth in. Bring that hexagon up so it looks like those teeth are just cutting that hexagon in half. And then we're just going to push that hexagon down like that. You can double check your corners on the printed side, make sure that they kind of are where you want them to be. You give it a good pinch, and that glue stick should hold that pretty good. Now we need to do the same thing over here. Push those teeth. It'll be a little more awkward on the second half. You don't have as much flexibility. Get those teeth there. Push that hexagon down, and the glue on both sides of that is going to hold. It's going to hold those teeth in place in theory. Last one. Teeth go down on half of the hexagon. Push that thing down, and there it is. We now have our box constructed. Now, if you really want to, depending on your mood, you could take some of this transparent tape, and it'll really depend on how your glue job goes, but you may want to just put a little bit of tape around these edges. But again, depending on how good your gluing is, you might not need to do that. So, I'll probably put the title of whatever game it is on the lid of this. And you're going to have this part is secured, like we glued this hexagon to that hexagon there, or that half to that half. And then you have this other color that's more open. I want to show you why I did that. That wasn't in my original design for this thing. So I'm going to actually pull out my very first version. So this is my first version of this box. It looked like this. It was more simple. But the problem was with this box is that it was tough to actually close it. It wouldn't stay closed. And that was driving me crazy. And so the reason why I've done what I've done with these extra hexagon looking things is those actually become tabs. And the friction, I guess, I'm going to say something that sounds smart, but it's not. But this tab is designed to go into here, into that slot. This glued tab up here is designed to go into that slot. And when you do that, you push it down like that, it's going to stay closed. It doesn't pop back open. And so we have that there. In this particular game, there's a great space for it right here. So you can plop that in, put the lid on, and you're good to go. So that was my design for round or hexagonal tokens to keep them together. Thank you for watching. Like I said, if you're interested in printing off this particular project, or if you want to see other projects like it, click on the link in the description of this video, and you can go ahead and have some fun. Thank you for watching. Share this with other people if you thought it was fun, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.